A lot has changed across the galaxy, and this timeline breaks down every major shift. We're starting from the oldest events in the High Republic, all the way to what happens after the Rise of Skywalker. This is the entire Star Wars timeline explained. The High Republic era is our starting point, coming in around 200 years before the Phantom Menace. Imagine a Jedi Order that's not about war or politics yet, but more like peacekeepers and first responders. They're spreading out across the galaxy, pulling double duty as explorers, mediators, and teachers, and they're actually doing things without constant Senate meetings. Then the catastrophe hits, and it's called the Great Hyperspace Disaster. A shipment full of explosive cargo collapses a starship into real space, and debris slices through space lanes like glass. Jedi drop everything to handle the fallout and go to rescue civilians, stabilizing planets and covering everything from medical disasters to robot uprising. That's when the Nihil show up, striking through hyperspace and disappearing before anyone can react. They don't follow rules, and they go after spots nobody thought to guard. The Jedi stop focusing on peace and start playing defense. To hold things together, they build Starlight Beacon, the massive station meant to link the Outer Rim to the core worlds. But during the Republic Fair, the Nihil tear through it with bombs and raids, leaving the whole place in ruins. It's a wake-up call as the Jedi aren't in charge anymore. As things start to fall apart, this group called the Path of the Open Hand shows up, claiming that anyone who uses the Force is messing with the natural order. They stir up riots on planets like Jedha and Dalna, which we later see again in bigger conflicts, and they really get people to stop trusting the Jedi. That chaos spins into what the book calls the Forever War, and it all comes crashing down on the Night of Sorrow, when regular folks turn on the Jedi completely. By the end of this era, the Jedi are in pieces. They helped build weapons, got tangled in politics, and lost the public without even seeing it happen. And all that sets the galaxy up to quietly slide toward Imperial rule. Fall of the Jedi kicks off properly with the Phantom Menace. The Republic still exists, but it's already showing cracks. Corruption is normal, the Senate stalls on every decision, and the Jedi are so tangled in politics that they don't see what's coming. When Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan run into Darth Maul, things change. The Jedi had been sure the Sith were gone, but Maul proves that's not true. He kills Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan manages to finish him off, and suddenly they're bringing in Anakin, someone most of the Council doesn't even trust. By Attack of the Clones, things are already boiling. A clone army gets greenlit, but no one knows who actually placed the order. Dooku shows up as the face of the Separatists, but the twist is he used to be a Jedi. He's the one fanning the flames, and the galaxy slides into open war. Meanwhile, Anakin's already breaking the rules. He's married to Padme in secret, his emotions are all over the place, and no one does much to stop it. In the Clone Wars, everything changes. The Jedi stop being peacekeepers, as they're full-time generals now. They're leading troops, stuck in battle after battle, and it pulls them further from the values they're meant to protect. All while Palpatine is sitting in the middle of it, playing both sides and stacking power with every move. Revenge of the Sith is where it all snaps. Anakin falls completely after being manipulated by Palpatine, who's been feeding his fear and anger for years. The Jedi try to stop Palpatine too late, and when Mace Windu confronts him, Anakin turns and joins the Sith. Then comes Order 66. Palpatine activates the clones, and nearly every Jedi across the galaxy is wiped out in one coordinated strike. Yoda and Obi-Wan survive, but most of the Order is gone within minutes. The Republic falls, Palpatine takes full control, and Anakin turns into Darth Vader. He leads the attack on the Jedi Temple himself. From that point, there's no talk of peace or balance anymore. The Empire takes over, and the Jedi fade into legend. Rise of the Empire starts when Palpatine calls himself Emperor. The Republic's gone just like that. The Empire takes over fast. Stormtroopers show up everywhere, and everyone who pushes back either disappears or gets dragged off. The Jedi are suddenly ghosts, and people are too scared to even say their names out loud. We see how fast it spreads in Solo. On Corellia, the streets are already crawling with patrols. Curfews are in place, and if you don't have clearance, you're not going anywhere. Even planets that don't look important, like Vandor, are being stripped for resources, while smugglers and crime lords operate in the background, sometimes with the Empire's help, sometimes in plain sight, and nobody's stopping them. By the time we get to Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Empire's grip is everywhere. Obi-Wan is laying low, working in a meat factory, acting like a nobody, while Inquisitors walk around hunting Jedi like it's routine. The few people who still resist can't trust anyone, and the Empire makes examples out of whoever steps out of line. In Andor, Ferrix gets flooded with guards and watchtowers, while Narkina 5 turns into a factory prison, where stepping out of line gets you shocked. Nobody talks too loud anymore because they've all seen what will happen. A stare from the wrong person can land you 6 years. By the end of this era, most of the galaxy either follows orders or keeps their head down, because survival starts to mean staying invisible. In the Age of Rebellion, the Death Star plans are pulled by a group who all get wiped at Scarif. Jyn, Cassian, and the rest die buying time. That's where the rebellion turns from scattered cells to actual resistance. Then a new hope kicks in. The rebels move fast because they have to. They don't even trust each other fully, but they rally around one shot, and it lands. The Death Star explodes, and suddenly the Empire isn't untouchable anymore. In Empire Strikes Back, that hope takes a hit. The rebels get driven out of Hoth, chased down and split up. Han's captured, Luke gets wrecked, and Vader tells Luke what he is, and breaks everything the Jedi thought they understood. Return of the Jedi brings the pushback through personal decisions. Luke faces Vader without running, and Vader kills the Emperor, not for the galaxy, but for his son. After the second Death Star blows up and the Emperor is gone, the rebels win big at Endor, and the Empire basically loses its top layer. But that doesn't mean the fight's over. The New Republic shows up fast, setting up a new system and trying to tear down what's left of the old one. But the problem is the Empire didn't disappear. Some loyalists go into hiding, while others run off the edges of space, and a few slip right back in with fake IDs and clean clothes. The New Republic gives some of them a second chance, and that backfires almost right away. We see how messy things are in The Mandalorian. There are pilots trying to cover wild zones, but the galaxy's too big and too scattered. Planets like Navarro are technically free, but crime keeps sliding in, and pirates and warlords act like the New Republic doesn't even exist. Moff Gideon, one of the bigger name Imperials who made it through, sets up his own base, builds a cloning lab, and starts hoarding Mandalorian gear and Jedi tech like he's gearing up for round 2. Meanwhile, folks who actually fought in the war get shoved into things like the amnesty program, where they're told to drop the past and work boring jobs for a government that doesn't really get what they've been through. Elia Kane is the perfect example. She's part of the same program, but still working for the bad side, flipping systems and running sabotage while nobody's watching. The Ahsoka series shows how far it really goes. While the New Republic sits around in meetings and dodges real choices, old Imperials are moving whole fleets off the grid. Grand Admiral Thrawn's name pops up again, and even though most of the senators brush it off, the people actually paying attention know it's not just a story. And that's the real issue here. The New Republic wins the war, but it can't hold things together. The army gets cut down, patrols are stretched thin, and by the time anyone figures out the First Order is building up in the unknown regions, it's already too late. By the time The Force Awakens rolls in, the First Order's already deep in the shadows, setting up everything they need. They put together Starkiller Base in secret, and when they finally fire it, they erase the New Republic's capital and most of its fleet in one go. Everything people thought was keeping the galaxy balanced just vanishes. By then, the New Republic had already trimmed its military and stretched leadership so thin that there's no one left to step in. Leia sees what's coming early, and starts the resistance on her own, but most people brush her off like she's overreacting until the sky lights up. As the First Order spreads fast, the resistance is stuck playing catch-up. The Last Jedi shows that clearly from the start, and it's a full threat. They're down to a few survivors by the end. Luke shows up, not to throw punches, but to stall long enough for the rest to escape, and that's all it takes to light the spark again. Meanwhile, Rey's figuring out things on her own. She trains with what little help she gets, mostly scraps and stories, while Kylo Ren keeps chasing her down. The Rise of Skywalker drops the final twist. Palpatine's been alive the whole time, building a hidden fleet and running everything behind the scenes. At first, Kylo's all in. He hunts down Resistance fighters, follows Palpatine's trail, and tries to turn Rey. But after a hit from Leia and a fight that shakes him, he switches sides. Ben Solo helps Rey take down Palpatine in the final fight, and when it's over, Rey's the last one standing. She buries Luke and Leia's sabers on Tatooine and takes the Skywalker name. The Resistance finally gets breathing room. The First Order's chain of command is broken, and regular people start fighting back. Now the new Jedi Order era is supposed to begin. Rey's rebuilding from nothing, and that matters because the old Jedi way didn't survive. What's coming next isn't about copying what was lost. It's about doing it differently so the whole thing doesn't fall apart again. Hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this.